Ray Dalio doesn't raise alarms casually. The game has changed, but you haven't. But first, subscribe for more videos like this. So when the billionaire founder of Bridgewater Associates says the world is entering a new economic order, you should stop scrolling and pay attention. The biggest mistake you can make is to assume the future will be like the past. And yet, most people are still managing their money like it's 1995. They're saving in cash, investing blindly in index funds, ignoring inflation like it's temporary, assuming governments will protect them, believing retirement accounts are safe. Dalio calls this delusion because while you're following outdated advice, the rules of money have already shifted. Global debt is at historic highs. Central banks are printing at will. AI is killing jobs. Geopolitical power is fracturing. And the US dollar? It's under siege. Dalio warns, if you don't adjust, you'll be wiped out. But the tragic truth? Most people will do nothing until it's too late, because they still believe they're playing the old game. They don't realize they're now in a system designed to extract value from the unprepared. That's why Dalio is screaming the truth. If you're still doing this with your money, still saving in fiat, still trusting passive strategies, still assuming stability, you're sleepwalking into financial extinction. The good news? Dalio has a roadmap. And in the next chapters, we'll reveal the exact moves he says you must make now to survive and thrive in the new economy. 1. The death of cash. Why saving is now the fastest way to lose everything. For decades, the advice was simple. Save money, be responsible, and everything will be fine. But here's what Ray Dalio says in 2025. Cash is trash. Not because it doesn't serve a purpose, but because the rules of the economy have changed and nobody told the middle class. The idea that saving money will protect you, that worked when inflation was stable, debt was under control, and currencies were backed by confidence. Today, inflation eats your savings in real time. Central banks print trillions on political whims. Your bank yields 1% while real inflation quietly steals 8%. And your safety net is a sieve. This is what Dalio warns about over and over. Sticking with cash in the new economy isn't cautious. It's suicidal. But here's the sinister part. People aren't saving money anymore. They're saving purchasing power illusions. You think your $10,000 in the bank is safe? Sure, until food, rent, gas, and healthcare double in price over the next few years. Dalio's words aren't metaphor. He's showing you a burning building while everyone else is still rearranging the furniture. So what's the move? Dalio isn't saying you should never hold cash. He's saying don't hold cash as your core wealth strategy. Instead, own real assets, things that can't be printed. Invest in inflation-hedged vehicles, gold, commodities, infrastructure. Acquire assets that produce value, not just store it. Diversify across currencies and economies. Because the real risk today is not volatility, it's being unprepared for volatility. And cash doesn't protect you anymore. It exposes you. 2. The index fund trap. Why playing it safe could wipe you out next. For years, index funds were hailed as the holy grail of investing. Low fees, broad exposure, set it and forget it. Even Warren Buffett sang their praises. But Ray Dalio? He's issuing a warning most people aren't ready to hear. Diversification is important, but most people are dangerously overexposed to the same risks, and they don't even know it. Translation: the index fund you think is safe is quietly tying your entire future to a collapsing structure. Here's what Dalio sees. Most index funds are heavily weighted in tech, which is now the most overvalued, AI-threatened, and volatile sector in the world. They're concentrated in the US, a nation deep in debt, with growing social instability and rising geopolitical risk. They rise and fall with central bank policy, and when the Fed loses control, everything inside those indexes goes with it. But here's the kicker: you're not actually diversified. You just own dozens of companies that all move in the same direction, under the same fragile system. That's not safety. That's systemic risk dressed in convenience. And when the next economic storm hits, not if, but when, these funds won't protect you. They'll drag your retirement down with the rest of the herd. Dalio doesn't hate index funds. He hates lazy thinking. and the way people use index funds today. It's not strategy. It's default mode. It's sleepwalking. So what's the fix? Dalio would shift out of blind index exposure and move toward true diversification. Not just across stocks, but across asset classes. Not just across sectors, but across countries and currencies. And not just for growth, but for resilience. Because in the new economy, the winners won't be the biggest risk takers. They'll be the ones who prepared for every outcome. 3. The East is rising and the dollar is dying. For over a century, the US dollar has reigned as king. Reserve currency, global standard, untouchable. But Ray Dalio sees the empire cracking, and fast. We are seeing the biggest shift in global power in our lifetime. The West is declining. The East is rising. The rules of the game are changing. And yet, most people are still investing like it's 1980, still believing the dollar is safe, still assuming the US will lead forever, still keeping 100% of their wealth in a single collapsing system. Dalio warns, that's not just risky, it's catastrophic. Here's the truth. China is aggressively moving to dethrone the dollar, building alliances, digitizing its currency, and creating parallel trade systems that bypass US influence. BRICS nations are exploring alternatives to the dollar, forming economic coalitions with growing muscle. And meanwhile, the US is drowning in debt, printing money it doesn't have, and weaponizing the dollar in ways that alienate allies. Dalio sees it clearly. Empires fall when they lose control of their currency and their credibility. We are watching that unfold. So what does that mean for you? It means if you're still holding your entire financial life in dollar-denominated assets, with zero international exposure, you're playing Russian roulette with your future. Dalio's playbook? Diversify internationally, not just into foreign companies, but foreign currencies, bonds, commodities. Reduce dependence on the US financial system. Own hard assets that transcend borders. Gold, silver, infrastructure, farmland, energy. Because the next crisis, it won't just be a market crash. It will be a confidence collapse, a reset of global order, a shift in who makes the rules and whose money still matters. Dalio's not guessing. He's mapping it. The new economy is already here. And if you own nothing, you're finished. Ray Dalio doesn't scream. He doesn't panic. He strategizes like a general preparing for war. And his final message is the one nobody wants to hear. Liquidity is not safety. It's exposure. Because in the old world, having cash on hand felt smart, flexible, prepared. But in the new world, liquidity without strategy is a trap. It leaves you vulnerable to inflation that erodes your savings while you sleep, market shocks that wipe out your unprotected net worth, government policy shifts that tax you, freeze you, or debank you. Dalio says, those who don't own assets don't own protection. And in this new world, protection is everything. So what does he own? Real assets, things with intrinsic value. Land, commodities, infrastructure. Income-producing investments, businesses, hard cash flow, not speculative gains. Cross-border diversification, hedging against regional collapse. Knowledge, the rarest asset of all, immune to inflation, recession, and control. The new economy is not theoretical. It's not coming someday. It's here, right now. Governments are restructuring debt. Currencies are being redefined. Old power structures are crumbling. New ones are rising from the ashes. And the average person, still doing this, holding all their savings in cash, trusting outdated portfolios, ignoring global trends, hoping the old system saves them as it breaks beneath their feet. Ray Dalio's final warning is simple and terrifying. If you're still doing what worked 10 years ago, you're already behind. And in the new economy, being behind means being eliminated. This isn't pessimism. It's a blueprint. And for those willing to listen, it's the greatest opportunity of their lifetime. Because chaos doesn't just destroy, it redistributes power. So the only question left is, are you prepared to receive it?